Embrace her with your love while she comes and tells her big story.
Alright, I'm sorry guys if I get off script a little bit and I get nervous. So, thank you everyone for making space and time to listen to my dangerous border crossing experience. My name is Alondra Pegueros, and I am a youth member of Wind of the Spirit. I share my experience with you today in the hope that you will act to protect children, so they do not have to face the terrifying challenges that I did. I share my experience with you because so many of us have suffered just like I did, but our government threatens us with detention and deportation that keeps us silent and keeps us in the shadows. And I refuse to be silent. And I refuse to make this a norm for the government. Right now, we are all on social media. It doesn't matter what age you are. You are either on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, or Instagram. Everywhere you scroll on your timeline, you will come across a video of a worried, helpless child who wants to see their parents. You will come across a video of a person being tied down and handcuffed to the ground because they do not have papers, because they do not belong here, or because this isn't their home. This morning, I came across a video of a Honduran man who was being detained and about to be deported. He begged ICE officials to keep him in jail rather than to send him back to his own homeland, because he said that gangs in his own homeland were going to kill him. He said he would be killed by the gangs, and you could hear it in his voice, the terror and how scared he was to just be where he is in his life right now. As the video continued, ICE used his body to push the doors open, and the man begged to not be put to pressure on his hands because he felt like he was going to break them. Before the video closed out, the man threw him into the van, and the man said, "Why are you treating me like this?" While the lady who was recording the video said, "This is what legal kidnapping looks like in America." It is horrible how people are getting treated for trying to seek safety, a better lifestyle in what was known to be el país de los sueños. What you are seeing now is children in cages, families in detention centers, and children taken from their families. However, this is not new. Our government has forcibly taken African American children away from their mothers and enslaved them. Our country has forcibly taken Native American children from their mothers and stripped them away from their language and their culture with beatings in oppressive civilization schools. Our country has continued to take children away from poor, homeless families instead of providing affordable housing and other support. And instead of providing asylum, our country rips children from their mothers, escaping war, poverty, and domestic violence. My mother and I escaped domestic violence in Mexico. We seeked relative safety here in the United States with my brother. But we were in the desert. It was not easy. It never is. We almost died of dehydration, and I was only 5 years old when I crossed the border. My mother could no longer carry me, so she had to ask a coyote and pay him in order for him to throw me on his shoulders to make sure we made it. But unfortunately, we were caught. And when we were caught, the Border Patrol took us into a van and locked us up in a jail cell, me away from my mother. Now, that was only 24 hours for me. So imagine all these children who are away from their parents right now for months, for weeks, years. What are they going through? All the trauma that they're going through right now. I read an article earlier today where it speaks about this employee at one of the shelters where the children are staying, and he said, "We are unemployed. We barely have any equipment that will help these children. Some of them have trauma, and some of them are trying to commit suicide." Now imagine me for only 24 hours. I was so scared. So whenever we walked in the desert, she would always tell me, "Un poquito más, ya mero llegamos, mija." I was only 5 years old, and I remember this experience like it had just happened. We were forced to live in the shadows for so many years, almost 14 years. My mom worked 3 jobs. She would either clean houses, clean offices, she would babysit, she would make food for any workers that offered her to pay her. My mom worked at a taco restaurant in Blackwell Street in Dover. Any money she could get, she would take it so we would have something on our plate and a roof over our shoulders. If we had known back then what we know now, we would have applied for asylum. But unfortunately, we did not have any resources. My mother and I barely even knew the language when I arrived, and we lacked support. It was just my mom, my brother, and I. I had feared that I wouldn't receive a higher education, I wouldn't be able to apply for any jobs to help support my mother, or that I wouldn't be able to get my own driver's license in order for me to make sure my mom stopped walking everywhere. DACA helped me come out of the shadows, but DACA wasn't a gift from President Obama. We fought for DACA, and we are still fighting today. New Jersey tuition equity laws helped me come out of the shadows, but that wasn't a gift from Governor Christie or from Governor Murphy. We fought for our right to higher education. As the federal government becomes more oppressive, we need our state to stand up and fight back. When will New Jersey become a sanctuary state? And when will New Jersey offer pro bono lawyers for parents in detention? When will New Jersey provide driver's license without discriminating against those without an unauthorized immigrant status? When will our congressmen in the 11th district demand we shut down ICE? This will all happen when we stand up and fight back. Say it with me. When immigrant rights are under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back! When immigrant rights are under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back! Thank you guys for being here and for fighting for all those children and their families and for the rights that immigrants deserve as humans. There's so much chaos going on in this world and so much that we see on social media. It's time to stand up and fight for them.